Every woman knows that words have the power to shape her world. They can build her up, affirm her identity, and make her feel cherished, or they can cut deep, leaving scars that take years to heal. One of the greatest silent fears that many women carry is the possibility of hearing words from a man that question her worth, dismiss her love, or undermine the effort she has poured into the relationship. It is not always the loud insults or harsh criticisms that hurt the most. Sometimes it is the subtle phrases, the casual dismissals, or the cold silences that create the deepest pain. When a woman has invested her heart, her time, and her soul into someone, the fear of hearing words that betray her vulnerability is very real. But these words, though painful, do not hold the power to define who she is. They may sting, they may echo her mind long after they are spoken, but they do not alter her value. A woman's worth is not dependent on whether someone recognizes it or not. It is not diminished by another person's inability to honor or appreciate her. Too often, women internalize the careless speech of others and begin to question themselves, am I not good enough? Am I unworthy of love? Did I do something wrong? Yet the truth is, words spoken from a place of insensitivity or brokenness in another person's heart reflect more about them than about the woman who receives them. Every woman must learn to protect her heart by drawing boundaries around the words she chooses to accept. Not every statement deserves to take root in her spirit. She must discern between words spoken in truth and love, and those spoken in frustration, immaturity, or carelessness. When a man's words attempt to strip her of her dignity, she must remember that his perception does not equate to her reality. She is not the sum of his opinion. She is not the product of his approval or rejection. Her identity rests in something much greater, her self-worth, her inner strength, and the unshakable truth that she was created with purpose. There is a transformative power that comes when a woman decides to rise above the fear of those words. Instead of crumbling under their weight, she can use them as fuel to affirm herself, to love herself more fiercely, and to demand the respect she truly deserves. Painful words can either imprison or empower. The choice lies in how they are received and what is done with them. When she turns that pain into purpose, she steps into a strength that even rejection cannot weaken. So, to every woman who fears hearing those dreaded words, you are not alone. And you are not powerless. Yes, words can wound, but they cannot destroy the truth of who you are. You are worthy of love that affirms, words that heal, and a life filled with honor and respect. The voices around you may falter, but the voice within you must rise and declare, I am more than what was said to me. I am more than what was done to me. I am enough, and I always will be. There comes a point in every woman's life when she realizes that the words she fears most are not just simple phrases, they are emotional daggers that pierce the heart. These words often carry rejection, disappointment, or disapproval, and when spoken by a man she has trusted, they strike at the very core of her being. A woman invests deeply. She gives her heart, her loyalty, her time, and her care. She nurtures with patience and stands firm with strength, and in return, her soul longs to be seen, valued, and spoken to with kindness. That is why careless words are so destructive. They do not just pass through the air, they plant themselves into her spirit, often replaying like echoes she cannot silence. The fear of hearing such words is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it is a reflection of the depth of her love and the hope she carries for meaningful connection. When a woman fears that a man will tell her she is not enough, she is not fearing the truth, but fearing the wound of being dismissed after giving so much of herself. These words feel like they strip away the sacrifices, the patience, and the countless acts of devotion she has poured into the relationship. That fear is heavy because it is tied to the risk of love itself, the vulnerability of opening her heart, knowing that with love comes the possibility of rejection. But what every woman must understand is that the value she carries cannot be dictated by someone else's words. Hurtful statements reflect more about the speaker than about the woman who receives them. They reveal immaturity, insensitivity, or even brokenness within the man who speaks them. They do not diminish her beauty, her strength, or her divine worth. When a man says something that wounds, it may feel personal, but it is often a mirror of his own inability to recognize or appreciate what stands before him. His words cannot undo the truth of who she is unless she chooses to let them settle within her heart. This is why discernment and self-awareness are vital. Every woman must decide which words she will allow to shape her and which words she will reject. Just because something was spoken does not mean it has authority over her. She has the power to stand in the truth that she is enough, even if someone else fails to affirm it. She has the strength to silence lies with affirmations of her worth, her beauty, and her purpose. So let the fear of those words be transformed into fuel. Instead of trembling at what might be said, let it become a reminder to never forget her own voice. Let her speak life over herself, even when others speak carelessly. Let her walk in dignity, knowing that no rejection can erase her significance. For the most powerful words are not those spoken against her, but those she chooses to believe about herself. I am worthy. I am loved. I am more than enough. There is a reason why words carry such an extraordinary weight in the heart of a woman. They are not just sounds or sentences. They are confirmations, affirmations, or at times deep wounds. When a woman hears uplifting words, her spirit rises, her confidence grows, and her love deepens. But when she hears the words she dreads most, the words she silently fears, they do more than sting. They shake her sense of safety and belonging. Many women carry the unspoken fear of hearing words that dismiss their love, diminish their value, or imply that they are replaceable. These words hurt not simply because of what is said, but because of who says them. A man they trusted, loved, and gave themselves to. When a woman invests in a relationship, she does not do so half-heartedly. She pours her soul into it. Her loyalty is fierce, her care is intentional, and her sacrifices often go unnoticed because they are given out of pure love. That is why careless words strike her so deeply. They feel like a betrayal of everything she has silently given. To be told she is not enough or that her presence no longer holds weight is to have her heart questioned after she has already given it away. The fear of such words lingers because they challenge the very foundation of her emotional world. Yet, it is essential for every woman to realize that her worth is not bound by someone else's ability to recognize it. Just because a man fails to honor her does not mean she is unworthy of honor. Just because someone speaks words of rejection does not mean she is unlovable. The truth is that words, while powerful, cannot override the eternal value placed within her. They can only do damage if she allows them to define her. A woman must understand that her identity is not created by human approval, but rooted in her inner strength, her divine purpose, and the love she carries within herself. Instead of fearing these words, she can begin to prepare her heart with a stronger foundation. She can affirm herself daily, declaring that she is enough regardless of external validation. She can build boundaries that do not allow destructive words to take root in her spirit. She can learn to separate the pain of what was said from the truth of who she is. In this way, the fear of words loses its grip because her confidence no longer relies on fragile speech but on unshakable self-awareness. So even if those dreaded words are spoken, they do not have the power to end her story. They may bruise her heart, but they cannot break her destiny. She remains whole, valuable, and irreplaceable. A woman who understands this truth transforms her fear into resilience. She rises from the pain not weakened, but stronger than before. And in her strength, she begins to declare for herself the words she has always longed to hear: I am enough. I am worthy. And no one can take that truth away from me. Every woman carries within her a quiet desire to be spoken to with love, respect, and affirmation. Words are not just sounds that fade into the air. They are seeds planted into the heart. When they are filled with kindness, they grow into confidence, trust, and joy. But when they carry rejection or indifference, they become thorns that wound deeply. The fear of hearing painful words from a man she has given her heart to is one of the heaviest burdens a woman can silently carry. Those words have the power to echo in her soul long after they are spoken, leaving her to question her worth, her beauty, and her place in his life. This fear is not born from insecurity alone. It is born from love itself, because love requires vulnerability. To love is to open the heart and expose it to both joy and risk. A woman who loves deeply hopes to hear words that reassure her, words that anchor her in the safety of being valued. When she fears words that reject her, it is not because she doubts who she is, but because she knows how much of herself she has poured out. Those words feel like they dismiss not only her presence, but also her sacrifices, her patience, and her loyalty. Yet, even though these words may cut, they cannot dictate the truth of her worth. A careless statement may bruise her spirit, but it cannot strip away the essence of who she is. Every woman must remind herself that rejection, no matter how painful, is not a reflection of her true identity. The power of words lies in whether she allows them to define her or whether she chooses to rise above them. A man's opinion cannot rewrite the masterpiece that she was created to be. This is where resilience begins, when a woman chooses not to give permanent power to temporary words. Instead of letting rejection linger, she can confront it with affirmations of her own. Instead of letting dismissal define her, she can decide to embrace her own voice. She can remember that the value she carries is not diminished by someone's blindness to it. She can rise from the weight of disappointment and use it as a stepping stone towards strength, dignity, and freedom. The fear of hearing those dreaded words may never disappear completely, but it can lose its power. Once a woman understands that her worth is unshackable, those words lose the ability to imprison her. They may hurt, but they cannot hold her down. She can stand tall, knowing that she is enough, that she is deserving of love that speaks life, and that she is capable of walking away from anything that does not honor her. In that moment, the fear transforms into courage, and the words that once threatened to break her become powerless against the truth of who she truly is. There are moments in a woman's life when she fears not the challenges she faces in the outside world, but the words that may come from the very person she has trusted with her heart. These are not just ordinary words. They are words that question her value, words that dismiss her presence, or words that suggest she is no longer enough. They sting so deeply because they come from someone whose voice she has allowed into the most vulnerable spaces of her soul. Unlike criticism from a stranger, the words of a man she loves carry weight because she has invested herself in him. She has given her energy, her loyalty, her time, and her affection, so when his words turn careless or harsh, they feel like they undo everything she has silently sacrificed. But it is important for every woman to recognize that while words can wound, they cannot define her. A careless phrase may bruise the heart, but it cannot erase the truth of who she is. Too often, women replay painful words in their minds, allowing them to echo for weeks, months, or even years. The danger lies not in what was said, but in believing that those words hold authority over her worth. A man's rejection or dismissal may cause temporary pain, but it does not have the power to rewrite her identity. Her value is inherent, unshakable, and cannot be lessened by another person's inability to see it. The fear of hearing painful words must be transformed into strength. Instead of allowing them to create insecurity, a woman can use them as a reminder to affirm herself daily. She can choose to speak words of life over her own soul, declaring her beauty, her strength, and her divine purpose. The most powerful voice in her life should not be the one that attempts to diminish her, but the one that rises within her and says, "I am enough. I am worthy. I am loved." This does not mean the pain disappears instantly. It means she learns to set boundaries around what she allows to dwell in her spirit. She must become selective about the words she internalizes, guarding her heart from voices that tear down instead of building up. By doing so, she reclaims her power. She understands that someone else's opinion is not her reality, and someone else's rejection is not her identity. Every woman has the capacity to turn her pain into purpose. The very words that once threatened to silence her can become the reason she speaks louder, walks stronger, and loves herself more fiercely. She can take the fear of hearing rejection and transform it into the courage to demand respect. She can turn disappointment into fuel for growth and heartbreak into a stepping stone toward healing. In this way, even the words she once dreaded most lose their ability to break her, because she has already decided they do not hold the final say in her life. Every woman longs for words that uplift, words that reassure, and words that reflect love and commitment. Yet many carry the quiet fear of hearing the very opposite, the words that wound, the words that dismiss, the words that make her question her worth. These are not small fears. They are heavy because they strike at the heart of vulnerability. When a woman gives her love, she gives all of herself, her time, her loyalty, her trust, her care. She weaves her heart into the relationship. And because of that, the words of a man she loves hold tremendous power. They can build her up higher than she thought possible, or they can cut her deeper than she ever imagined. This fear of painful words does not mean she is weak. It means she is human. It means she cares deeply, that she hopes with all her heart, and that she desires to be valued in return for what she has poured out. When a man speaks rejection or indifference, it feels as if all the sacrifices and silent acts of love are dismissed in a moment. Those words hurt not just because of their meaning, but because of the trust that was placed in the one who spoke them. It feels like betrayal wrapped in sentences. But here is the truth every woman must remember. She is not defined by those words. They may echo in her heart for a while, but they cannot reduce the essence of who she is. A woman's worth is not a reflection of someone else's perception. Whether or not a man recognizes her value remains. Whether or not he speaks love and honor, she is still worthy of both. His words may reveal his own immaturity, blindness, or brokenness, but they do not have the authority to alter her identity. This is why it is essential for every woman to rise above the fear of what might be said. She must learn to build her foundation not on another's validation, but on her own awareness of her worth. She can prepare her heart by filling it with truth, affirmations, and faith that remind her daily, I am enough, I am loved, I am valuable. By doing so, the sting of hurtful words begins to lose its power. They may bruise, but they cannot break. Instead of shrinking in fear of those dreaded words, she can transform that fear into strength. She can use it as fuel to stand taller, to guard her boundaries, and to demand the respect she deserves. Every painful word that once threatened to shatter her can become a stepping stone toward resilience. She learns that no one's speech determines her destiny, and no one's rejection can silence her worth. So even if those words come, the very ones she feared most, they do not hold the final chapter of her story. She is more than what was said, more than what was withheld, and more than the disappointment she faced. She is unshakable, irreplaceable, and destined for love that speaks life, not death, over her soul. Every woman, no matter her background, carries within her the unspoken desire to be seen, valued, and spoken to with love. Words hold incredible weight because they are not just sounds. They are affirmations or wounds, building blocks or weapons. And though she may walk in strength and confidence, deep within lies the quiet fear of hearing words from a man that strip away her sense of worth. These words may sound simple on the surface, but their impact is profound. They can suggest rejection, dismissal, or indifference. And for a woman who has poured her heart into a relationship, they strike deeper than any external challenge life could bring. The fear of hearing such words is tied to the depth of her investment. Women often give in ways that cannot be measured. They sacrifice, they nurture, they endure, and they love with loyalty. So when a man speaks carelessly, it feels as if he dismisses not only her, but also the countless unseen acts of love she has given. This is why the fear of hurtful words is so powerful. It is not about insecurity, but about the risk of love itself. To love is to open one's soul, and to open one's soul is to risk being hurt. Yet, no matter how heavy these words may feel, they do not hold the authority to define her. A man's rejection, dismissal, or coldness cannot erase the truth of her identity. She was valuable before those words, and she remains valuable after them. Her beauty does not fade because someone failed to honor it. Her worth does not decrease because someone failed to recognize it. His words, however sharp, reflect his limitations, not hers. They reveal his inability to see, not her inability to be. This is why it is crucial for every woman to stand guard over her heart. She cannot control the words others choose to speak, but she can choose which ones she allows to take root. Not every sentence deserves her belief. Not every phrase deserves her tears. She must learn to reject the words that break and embrace the words that build. And above all, she must speak life over herself, affirming her own worth so loudly that no rejection can drown it out. When a woman rises above the fear of hearing those dreaded words, she enters into true empowerment. She no longer allows the fear of rejection to silence her love for herself. She no longer allows the opinions of others to dictate her confidence. She no longer shrinks back from life because of the possibility of being dismissed. Instead, she walks boldly, knowing that her value is unshakable, her spirit unbreakable, and her destiny unstoppable. So even if those painful words are spoken, they are not the final chapter of her story. She is more than the sentences that tried to wound her. She is more than the rejection she endured. She is more than the fears she once carried. She is strength, she is resilience, and she is worthy of love that honors her, not words that diminish her.